This time on Roadkill Garage, it is the return of the historic Bangshift Cougar from episode #1 and the introduction of the Dulcich Bangshift Vet.
Great Scott! 88 miles an hour puts us back to the future, Freiburger.
Have chicks flocked to you in the '69 Vet?
You know, I really haven't taken it out that much. The best part is there's no better shifting transmission than a Muncie.
Really?
No. It's a 383. The stock motor is long gone. I'm not one of those numbers matching guys.
It feels like a 350 horse 383.
Yeah? It's mild. It's got aluminum heads of some sort.
It's very smooth.
It's got 373 gears in the back. But overall, I mean, I don't like taking it on long highway drives.
So you haven't been able to go into areas where you would just be a babe magnet?
I don't know. You know, I'm on the road, Freiburger. I don't have time to just cruise around in my vet, except locally.
Tends to get a lot of dirt inside.
Yeah.
By the way, the roadster aspect of it is also good. I approve of that.
That was a little messy.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
I think we should do a Cougar versus Corvette bang shifting test.
Really?
That means fixing the front suspension, fixing the oil leak, maybe putting some gears in the Cougar.
I actually already moved it to the shop and started taking the front end apart and started rebuilding it. And then I just wanted to wait for you to come and help me finish the job.
Yeah, let's fix it up. Yeah. The car we're dealing with here is the Bangshift Cougar, a 1967 Mercury Cougar that was in the very first episode of Roadkill Garage. And you know what? This is the very first episode of season 6. So it's been 5 years since we originally put this together. And there's a whole backstory of me buying the car and then getting it running and then trading it off to Steve. But what's important is that it initially had a 351 Cleveland in it. It now has a Ford Windsor 302 based 363 cubic inch stroker in it. And most importantly, the 4-speed that makes it the Bangshift Cougar. The problem is, it doesn't bang shift anymore because the clutch slips really badly. And we think that that's because of an oil leak at the back of the engine, and this engine has leaked oil out of the back forever. It dates all the way to when Mike Finnegan and I drove a Ford Ranchero all the way to Alaska with this engine in it, and it leaked then. And then it leaked when Dulcich rebuilt it and we were testing it on the Engine Masters show. And then, surprise, it leaked again when we actually installed it in this car. The other thing is, even though it has this big leaking problem, this big clutch slipping problem, you don't want to drive the car anyway because the front suspension used to be a disaster. So what's happening right now is Steve's got the whole front suspension blown out of it. We're going to be rebuilding that on the episode. But first, I got to order all the parts for working on it, like to get them here tomorrow. And so the first thing we're going to do is rip the top loader 4-speed out of the car so that we can see what clutch disc we need and perhaps even find the source of that endless oil leak so that we can fix that as well. That was it.
I've almost got this transmission ready to come out.
Wow, there's a bunch of dog hair and rat poop in here.
No way.
Are you ready to have it out?
I think it'll come right out.
Ooh, it's coming right out. Okay, ready for down?
Yeah. At this point, we have gravity working toward advantage. Oh, ooh, oil.
There we go.
All right.
This is what makes this entire car great. The Cougar is nothing without the top loader.
No. The bell housing is off.
Great.
This clutch is completely fried. That is going to be it. That is roasted. That is charbroiled.
This is the clutch disc out of the Cougar, and it is absolutely the most destroyed thing I've ever seen for a clutch disc that has maybe 50 miles on it. That is wrecked. One thing it is not, though, is oily. We thought it was probably saturated with oil from the leak at the back of the engine, and it isn't. So why is it ruined? Probably because we never broke it in. In standard roadkill fashion, we installed it and we went out and did burnouts for your viewing pleasure. That probably wrecked that thing completely, because that's unbelievable. But we still do have an incredible oil leak, and we've been investigating hardcore under there to see what it is. This is the mid plate that goes between the bell housing and the back of the engine. And by looking at it, we can see really carefully some witness marks of oil leaks on this thing. And it's either coming from the cam plug, which is about right here on the back of the engine, or from the oil pan gasket immediately at the back of the engine, right under the rear main seal. Doesn't seem to be the seal itself. It's a one-piece seal. We'd be shocked if that's what it was. So what we're gonna do is something fairly Mickey Mouse, but also kind of genius. We're gonna fill the engine with automatic transmission fluid, which is really just a very, very light oil. And we're gonna see if we can actually watch it dripping out of the bottom of that oil pan seal. And if it's not, it's probably the cam plug. Stop. It's pouring out of the bolt hole in the crankshaft.
You could put a bolt in there.
Okay, so we know it's well above that point. Okay, no glistening. So now I'm waiting. The oil leak investigation is complete, and sure enough, it is leaking out of this oil pan gasket seal at the back of the engine. It's not the rear main seal. This aftermarket pan is just not squishing the seal at the back enough, and it's dripping out of there. So I think what we're gonna do is drop the pan at the back, clean it all up in there, and smudge some RTV in it and put it back together, which is not the right way to do it, but it's the Roadkill Garage way to do it. It'll be good enough.
One of the problems with the Cougar is the rear end ratio. It's super high at 279, and when you combine that with the close ratio top loader transmission, which has a 221 first gear, it's just not a combination that's gonna work well. It's really hard on the clutch, and to fix that, we're gonna put lower gears in the rear end. We're gonna go with a 355 ratio, which will still give us pretty good streetability, and it'll help launch. Now, I'm gonna pull the wheels off, get the axle shafts out, then I'll drop the third member. We're gonna drop that off at a rear end shop, have it assembled for us, and ready to put back in.
Yeah, Steve swears this axle won't come out, so I came over here to remove it for him. He might need to get the slide hammer.
There we go. That's out. There we go. Good job, Freiberger.
Oh, yeah. I am glad I had to do that for you, Dulcich.
Yeah.
You would have been lost without me.
I know, I needed the magic hand of Freiberger. So what the problem was, the bearing here, you can see it's kind of rusty on the OD, and that got it stuck in the housing end, and it just wouldn't pull clear. And then the bearing retainer itself fouled on the backing plate, so that just didn't pull out very cleanly. It took a little finessing to get it out, but that's all done, and I'll just move over to the other side. Ah, there you go.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Freiberger.
You've heard of a Ford 9-inch rear end? Well, this is a Ford 8-inch, which is like the same thing in miniature. The 8 or 9 refers to the diameter of the ring gear here. This is the smaller version with an 8-inch gear and obviously much smaller parts overall. It's got 28 spline axles. And by all rights, Dulcich should be able to break this with his 363 small block and his bank shifting top loader 4-speed. But I talked him into keeping it for now because it's going to be cheaper than putting a whole 9-inch axle assembly in the thing. So we got some 355 gears to replace these 279s. We're going to send it out and hope that we can also get a limited slip in it, because it would be hideous if we were still doing open differential one-wheel peels for you by the time that we're done, but I can't make any promises. So the other thing that happened today is we realized that our clutch hat is also destroyed from heat. So I had to order even more parts to be overnighted. So we can't finish the rear end gears today. We can't finish the clutch today. We did finish the oil pan today. So I think the next thing we need to work on is that front suspension.
What I'm doing here is a rebuild of the front suspension and steering, and the reason is the Cougar was absolutely terrifying on the road. I mean, we took this thing out and did a bunch of burnouts and stuff like that, but I'll tell you, it was always super, super sketchy. Now, here's the thing you're gonna run across a lot of times when you're trying to do a rebuild. You're gonna find cracking in the shock tower area, and the reason is the upper control arm bolts right here, and the spring is loaded against that control arm, putting a lot of stress in this area. You'll often find these cracks, and if you were doing a restoration on the car, you would probably cut that out and replace that shock tower, but we're gonna go with the field repair and just weld this up. I'm gonna start by wire brushing the paint to prep for welding, and that'll last a good long time.
Steve had to enlist my help here because we're gonna booger weld this thing together. That is the worst Ford shock tower crack I've ever personally witnessed. It is a disaster. And so we're just gonna stick this together so that it doesn't flex and crack worse while we're driving the thing around in the short term. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself, because what we're about to do is gonna be really ugly and not right, but way more functional than it is right now. See that?
Oh, that's mint.
Yeah.
Discretion really is the better part of valor. And the thing is, I tried to put this spring in using my homemade spring compressor, and I just got haired out because it was too sketchy. The plate here that grabs the spring is just flat. It doesn't even have anything to keep it from slipping off. And I had that wound up pretty darn tight when I just ran out of nerve. So what I ended up doing is just going to the auto parts store and renting this proper spring compressor. It's got the right stagger to grab the coils at the right height. It's hook shaped, so there's no way that's gonna slip off. So I'm gonna go ahead and regroup, get my spring over here, pop it in position, and this will go together in no time flat. Okay, ready for David. Oh, that's a good grab. That might be enough. Let me see if I can get this hanger in there. Oh, wow, look at that. Wow, the right tool makes such a difference. That was super easy. We've got the front suspension installed, and it's time to move on to the steering. Now, the Ford has kind of an antiquated and needlessly complex steering system. It uses a ram, which is divorced from the steering box, and a control valve, which basically has an octopus of hoses that come off of it. So it's gonna take a little bit of doing and figuring out to get this in, but I do have all new tie rod ends and parts, and it all should fit together just like stock. We're gonna get on it right now. This is actually the first time we've ever greased anything on the show. Got the steering system all bench assembled and lubed. Now we'll hang it on the car.
And it's boondoggle time here at Roadkill Garage. Boondoggle number 1, Dulcich is working on the power steering plumbing. It took us like half an hour of Googling on our phones to figure out where all the hoses go on that whole weird shuttle valve operation. I'm making him worry about that. I decided to get real happy and start installing his new Willwood disc brakes, and I ran into a problem. It turns out that this car, our 1967 Cougar, has what appears to be a 67 Cougar spindle on the driver's side. But here on the passenger side, see how the bearing will not go on there? This is a 1970 and up spindle. It has a larger diameter right here than the earlier ones. Therefore, the Wilwood kit that we bought fits perfectly on the other side and not at all on this side. I have put a shout out on Instagram to see if any fans can deliver up the correct spindle for this thing, which is gonna be a 67 to 69 drum brake spindle so that we can make that work. And that's obviously not gonna happen until tomorrow. So I'm gonna move on to boondoggle number 3, which is gonna be installing the new Ford 8-inch center section that we got rebuilt up in Fresno.
You won't believe what I'm dealing with on this power steering system. I mean, it's just overly complicated, poorly engineered, and probably not all that functional either. But the real problem is there's a control valve that has 4 different lines running to it, and there's a hydraulic ram, and there's hoses connecting the two, and the parts move with the steering system. So I've got to make sure I've got free articulation on everything. I've got a couple of hoses here that are going to need to be connected at a hydraulic shop, and I've got this puzzle solved. So,
Hey, Steve,
yes,
you know what other car has power steering just like that?
Freiburger. Don't rub it in. Okay, it's the vet. You know, we can't just blame FOMOCO on this kind of power steering system because the system in the Corvette, America's sports car, is identical. So we'll get this working.
Well, we're having to throw out the lifeline more than once on this episode. First, I tried to get a spindle, and that'll be showing up in the morning. Second, we had to rely on Fearless Gears out of Fresno, California. We called them and was like, man, we need this Ford 8-inch setup like that. And they did it for us, which is very cool. And because you're sick and tired of those one-wheel peels, and it's embarrassing to ever see that on Roadkill Garage, yes, you will now get the 2-wheel burnout thanks to the PowerTrax locker that Fearless Gears installed in our open diff on this thing. So now I have to go clean up the center section and lie in a bunch of 90 weight it looks like, and then I'll be throwing this thing right into the car. Blech. Do you already feel more manly with your locking differential?
Yes, I do.
Install it.
Just not lined up.
There we go. I just took the touch of Freiburger.
Yeah.
Solve that for you. Finally, we're making the clutch happen. I ended up ordering an entirely new kit. We got it overnighted from Summit. New flywheel, because the old one was destroyed. Remember how I pointed out that this on our pressure plate was all melted and grossed out? Well, I got a new one, and you can see that it's a different style. This is the diaphragm style. This is the McLeod Super Street Pro. The disc itself appears to the naked eye to be the same as the one that we had. And here's the interesting thing. If you go ahead and actually refer to the directions, it says right here, and I will quote, require a break-in period of 450 to 500 miles of street stop-and-go type driving before driving at wide open throttle, blah, blah, blah. Did we do that last time? No. We went right out front and started doing burnouts and bang shifting. That's probably what tore this thing up. This time, if we can get it all together in time, we plan on road tripping a couple 100 miles before we give you that excellent dulcich bang shift. All right, step 1, I'm gonna bolt the new flywheel onto the engine.
The belt housing's properly installed now with the block plate in place, so next we're gonna move on to the transmission.
Looks pretty good.
My bolt holes are too high. How about yours?
The trans is clocked counterclockwise. I can unclock differently too. Yeah, there we go, look.
It went right in.
It went right in. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was about the easiest manual trans installation I've ever done.
I know, wasn't it?
Here's our fix for the spindle. A guy at War Performance in Fresno actually had one off of his 1967 Cougar, so that's gonna save us. Here's the thing we ran into. This is the spindle that was on just the right side of our car, and you can see that caliper fits over that perfectly. You go over here, and This spindle is much smaller. Now, I'm not a Mustang spindle expert, but from what I understand, the 1970 and up had the larger diameter here. It's beefier. Apparently, the earlier ones can actually break. The smaller one is what we had our disc brake kit for. It's what came on the 67, so it's what we're gonna use. This will solve our problem. I just gotta get it installed. 20 hours later, new spindle, and I'm back to brakes. Steve is still messing around with getting that transmission reinstalled. How's it going, Dulcich?
Just finishing up the cross member and then the speedo cable, drive shaft, and that's the bulk of it.
Now the rotor's going on. What? Oh! Put that bracket on backwards. Ah, what a day. Ta-da! All right, the trick on adjusting wheel bearings here is always to spin it, seat it, back it off a little bit, spin it some more, seat it, and then I'm gonna final tighten it to about that much. The trick on putting these aftermarket calipers on with these kits is to make sure that the caliper is perfectly centered on the rotor, right, like that. You don't want it offset one way or the other. You end up with interference problems or one pad wearing or it just not performing like it should. Wow, perfectly centered. That's pretty amazing. I really like the quick release pads in these calipers. Watch this. 1, 2, done.
Okay, that's the drive shaft getting in position. All I've got to do is tighten up a couple of U-bolts and the drivetrain is installed. Well, there was a little drama getting the power steering sorted out. Mostly the pressure hose. The routing's a little complicated because of the header. I took the hoses over to the hydraulic shop and they put new fittings on it. So now the 2 wrong hoses become 1 right hose. I'm gonna be able to put this in, zip tie it in place, and it's gonna work just perfectly.
We got it all together and started to bleed the brakes and everything was going peachy until the brake pedal turned rock hard. Now, basically what that is the mechanical version of Steve blasting the Cougar down the road, bang, shifting, 3rd gear, and then careening straight into a phone pole. It's all over.
I can't believe you gave me that mental imagery, Freiberger.
That was pretty gruesome, wasn't it?
How can you do it to me?
So bottom line is when that brake pedal went rock hard, it seems to have maintained pressure in the entire system, which we've seen before with bad master cylinders. But then we break the lines on the master cylinder and it doesn't help. The rear wheel's locked up even when you pull the bleeder screw completely out of it. And for some reason, this isn't a super common car anymore, I guess, because we can't get a master cylinder in time and we can't get any wheel cylinders.
Yeah, I bet you there's all kinds of mud in those brake lines clogging it up somewhere.
Right, which brings me to the other point, which is I'm sick of working on this thing.
No way.
So instead, we're gonna hop back into Steve's Corvette and go see another surprise project vehicle, and the Cougar will be running and driving in the next episode of Roadkill Garage. I honestly can't wait. This car is gonna be so good.
I want to see what happened to it after it left.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of fun with that ball.
Oh, I've seen all the photos. It's no surprise.
Really?
I'm telling you, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah?
Brace yourself for the greatness that is the F-Rod. I can hardly get out of this thing. I'm too old for your midlife crisis.
I'm not.
What we're looking at here is my 1930 Ford Model A Coupe. You originally saw this car in episode 38 of Roadkill Garage. I had traded it with a buddy, and Steve and I got it running with a small block, and we blasted it around, and it did amazing looking burnouts. It was awesome. But I didn't really know where to go from there. And I gotta tell you the truth, it was Dulcich who talked me into making it a full-on drag race car. So when I started noodling that around, I connected with my buddy Sam. The great thing about him is he's one of those people you just perfectly connect with on knowing how a car should be. That little nuance that makes a hot rod exactly perfect. We'll text back and forth arguing about things like an inch here and an inch there on the rake. So I can trust him to just turnkey work on this thing and do all the fabrication that there's no chance that I can handle myself. So we rolled it up here. He's got a full 850 ET legal cage in it. It's got ladder bars in the back, Mosier 9-inch, and as you can see, it will be big block powered. So this is gonna be a full radical street and mostly strip car that you will see us building in future episodes of Roadkill Garage. Dude, this thing is great!
Thanks, yeah.
No, it really looks cool. It's everything that you showed me in photos and more.
I don't remember it being this cool before.
No, it definitely wasn't. You know what? It's always had the stance, but now it's got the mean.
Yeah, it does have the mean.
I'm super stoked about it. This is the project that I've got going on that I'm more excited about than anything.
Yeah, me too. We've got a lineup of engines to try out in it too, Sam.
Are you super happy?
Very.
Yeah?
It's a fun project. Very cool.
You've put a lot of hours
I love
into
drag
it.
racing, and this is and love old cars, so this is a good mix.
I thought you said he put a cage in it, but I don't see a cage from here.
That's the greatness of it, right? It's like so well hidden. As a matter of fact, the genius is how much work he put into those rear crossbars to get it to actually pass NHRA tech without putting the bars out the back of the cab, so to speak. Okay, Steve, attempt to sit in it. I've already done this, so I know what it looks like.
Yeah, pop the steering wheel off.
Yeah.
I could sit in this easily.
Steve's getting into the full containment Kirky aluminum seat. This thing's basically a race car now. I went all out with safety. What do you think?
It's easy as pie to get into this thing.
With the exception of the shirt and the hat, you look good.
Hey, that's some of my better stuff, Ryberger.
You ever read cartoon magazines as a kid? Or Carcraft? And they had Crass and Bernie? We are the true-to-life Crass and Bernie.
There's no doubt, Ryberger.
Look at all the project vehicles that we've got going on here, just in this episode alone. Bankshift Cougar, which never ran. Bankshift Vet,
Which ran.
did great bang shifts. And of course, the F-Rod, the cartoon hot rod that is yet to come. All of this throughout the rest of the season of Roadkill Garage. It's gonna be amazing. And more!
Right here on Roadkill Garage.
All right, let's get out of here. You better bang shift this thing in the dirt.
Oh, yeah, the gravel.
Yeah. Notice how we're not afraid to off-road anything? Go! Maybe we should get some boggers for the bet. I don't know if it's safe to be riding in the '69 Vet for me. I mean, after all, I'm a married man.
Well, I don't know. You know, Freiberger, I don't know if I should tell you this, but, you know, I was just kind of feeling the midlife crisis coming on. I don't know, you know, if you've had that experience yourself, but I just felt like the Vet would probably get me over it.
You think so?
Yeah.
Get you over the hump, so to speak?